I want to talk about how difficult it is to remember the James Bond films in general. I'm not talking about the order or who starred as Bond in what film. I'm talking about thinking about the title of any Bond film and recalling the basic plot and what happens in the film. And maybe some characters, the basic things. Unless you are a die-hard Bond fan, chances are you struggle with it. Why? Well, because the timeline of things aren't neat and tidy in the way that the film universes of today are. And with soon-to-be 25 films in the series, it remains the longest film franchise in Hollywood history, second in the world only to Godzilla. But to better understand the topic at hand, we have to talk about the mnemonic devices we use when discussing Bond, external elements we use to make things easier to remember. I'm going to go through the list of Bond films and point out common mnemonic devices for each film, and then afterwards we'll talk about why these strategies may or may not be effective. I'm going off my own perspective and experience here, so your mnemonic devices may be different. Dr. No. Dr. No is the first one, and being that it's so iconic, it's not one that's difficult to remember. Honey Rider's bikini, the villain's secret lair on the island are memorable. I also tend to remember Dr. No as the one that makes going on vacation to a resort seem super exciting. The excessive use of the James Bond theme in this one makes even the simplest tasks, such as checking into your hotel, seem exciting.
Mr. Bond, sir?
Yes?
Mr. Jones, sir. Chauffeur from Government House. I've been sent to get them.
Well, that's fine, Mr. Jones. You can drop my luggage off at the hotel on the way. Now, hang on a minute, will you? I want to check my reservation.
Oh, I can do that.
No. You just take care of the bags.
From Russia with Love. From Russia with Love is also pretty memorable, as the tropes and formula for Bond were still being developed. We get our first Q scene, first appearance of Blofeld, also known for the train fight at the end and the belly dancing scene at the beginning as additionally incorporated into the opening title sequence. Goldfinger. For many, Goldfinger is their favorite Bond movie, so it's another one audiences aren't quick to forget. Lots of iconic Bond moments here with the appearance of the white suit, crazy early lover death, odd job, lasers, and the first of many very clearly non-consensual sex scenes. Thunderball. Thunderball is notorious for being the bad, slow underwater one. You Only Live Twice being the one where Bond goes to Japan, the one with the volcano lair, the one where Bond pretends to be a Japanese man. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, starring George, the guy who was only in one Lazenby, the one where Bond gets married, or as I call it, the super underrated but actually good Christmas movie.
Going away presents from the Count himself in appreciation.
Why won't you open mine now?
Oh no, it is more fun to open them all together, yes.
Diamonds Are Forever. Bond Goes to Vegas, and it's got the appearance of my favorite Bond vehicle. Live and Let Die. The first Moore film, the blaxploitation one, Bare Samedi. This is the one that I use the title sequence to remember because the first time Paul McCartney says die in the song, the skull appears, which reminds me of the voodoo plot.
Say live and let die.
Yeah, well, it works for me. Man with the Golden Gun. The one with Christopher Lee as the titular villain. Nick Nack is also legend.
Take that! Tabasco!
Right away, Monsieur Scaramanga.
And the cold open in the fun house also repeats at the end. The Spy Who Loved Me. Another fan favorite for many, helpful title here as Bond works with a spy romantic interest. Also first appearance of Jaws. Moonraker, Bond Goes to Space. For Your Eyes Only. I never remember this one, and I will happily admit that I had to watch the trailer to even come up with a mnemonic device. Sometimes on a good day, I remember that this one ends with a battle in a castle fortress thing. Octopussy. Iconic female villain and the circus fight. A View to a Kill. This one's the crazy one. Duran Duran, Mayday, The Living Daylights, The Dalton One Number 1, License to Kill, The Dalton One Number 2, GoldenEye, the video game one, The Dam Jump 006. Overall, pretty memorable for being Brosnan's first. Tomorrow Never Dies, The Motorcycle Chase, or the one with not Steve Jobs as the villain. The World Is Not Enough, the other Bond Christmas movie.
What's wrong about you?
Yeah? How so?
I thought Christmas only comes once a year.
Die Another Day, North Korea, Ice Hotel, Madonna, Halle Berry. Now we're at the Craig movies, and we're getting to the point where people generally remember things. But to go along with the exercise, Casino Royale is often referred to as the one with the parkour scene or the poker game. Quantum of Solace is Bond in the Desert, aka Casino Royale Part 2. Skyfall is the Home Alone Bond, and Spectre, which I like to call the clip show. So here are some problems with these strategies. Same locations. The Bond series truly began not just as a spy film, but as a travelogue series, so far as to be featured in the film's advertising. Oh, you know, the one where Bond goes to Italy. They filmed in Italy countless times. They've even filmed that same island in Vietnam several times for several Bond films. You know, here it is in Man with the Golden Gun, where his base is, and here it is again in Tomorrow Never Dies. Tropes. Believe it or not, the Bond films are pretty similar, so relying on tropes is not always the best way to remember things. You might run into this problem anytime you try to recall a plot element. The one where the girl dies because the villain covers her in something. The one where Bond works with a female Russian agent. Or my favorite, the one where Bond resigns.
Sir, I have the honor to request you will accept my resignation, effective forthwith.
Then you have my resignation, sir.
We're not a country club, 007.
The villain plots are the same. Some Bond villains have the exact same plot, specifically in the films directed by Lewis Gilbert. Taking the important thing, using the bigger thing, ending with a big shootout on final base. The actors. Remembering the supporting actors doesn't help either. Bernard Lee was M for Connery and most of Moore, with Robert Brown covering the rest of Moore and Dalton, while Judi Dench is Brosnan's and Craig's, but we also have Ralph Fiennes as M. So yeah. Q and Moneypenny are also on different timelines as well. It's a muddled mess, so I don't blame any of you for remembering any of them. Some movies don't have Q or Moneypenny in them at all. But by far the most confusing out of all of these are the actors who play different characters across the films. Charles Gray played Deco Henderson in You Only Live Twice, and then went on to play Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever. Joe Don Baker, who played the villain Brad Whitaker in Living Daylights, and in case you forgot already, that's Dalton number 1. And then he went on to play Bond's main CIA buddy Wade in GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yo, Jimbo! Brought a little gift from old, what's his name? T.Z.Q.
And then there is the Bond queen, Maude Adams, playing the Bond girl in Man with a Golden Gun and the titular Octopussy, as well as a background actor in A View to a Kill. Titles that have nothing to do with anything. It's hard to match titles to plot, as most of the titles in the series aren't incredibly indicative of the plot or themes. You have a few here which are a little bit helpful, the ones with the character name and the title, but then you have your nonsense Bond titles that are from the books, which, let's be honest, doesn't make anything more clear because no one has read the books, and you probably shouldn't because they're bad. Bond eras. What some people call the Bond eras are also confusing when trying to remember the film details. We can think of Bond eras as indicated by the actor's performance. Connery is classic, Moore is campy, Dalton is sorta like dark 80s, Brosnan is action explodey, and Craig as gritty realistic, and then everyone forgets Lazenby. It's just kind of all over the place, especially when a lot of the Brosnan films are super campy, and a lot of Craig's films have classic elements. Or how some things we consider to be classic Bond didn't start until the Moore era. Yeah, it's a lot, but in the end, it's what makes the series all the more fun. I'd love to know if you have any different strategies for remembering the Bond films, and stay tuned because there will be more Bond videos in the future.